So we're supposed to go see this this Granny Rags character for help.
Oh. Yeah, this Granny Rags character.
Totally not introduced in any way.
Granny.
I don't get Granny Rags.
Okay,
like,
so she's...
Granny Rags is another example of this thing where they're trying to do something, and like, you know, she's this like supernatural thing, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense in its execution.
Right.
Well, it's Susan Sarandon, and again, everyone's like, no good voice actor. Susan Sarandon! She's famous.
I had no idea.
Granny Rags is the best voice actress in this game. Like, she has the best voice acting in the whole fucking game, which is kind of sad. Except for maybe Slackjaw. I don't know.
I like Slackjaw.
Everybody close your eyes and tell me how old this woman is.
Granny Rags, let us in.
I don't know. I thought she sounded believable.
Anyway,
old.
This thing feels like I missed the first 2 or 3 chapters of this story. Like, there's a lot of stuff that they talk about without any explanation. Like, hey, there's this Granny Rags person. You've heard of them. No.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Do the knives go on the left?
Sorry, actually,
On the left. You never
go ahead.
Seamus actually, sorry, Seamus really defeated my point well, which was, yeah, she actually does sound old. I guess it's just that her tone doesn't quite match up to the coot exterior and like the creepy old lady thing that the game is supposed to have going for her.
Yeah,
sounds like Shodan.
Holy crap!
That's what they were going.
You can go up here and take them out. I always go to the door, and it's impossible to take them out non-lethally there, or at least very difficult.
Oh yeah, I always.
This totally changes the game for me.
It's still difficult.
It's a game changer.
Never mind, I love Dishonored.
No. No, I think it's interesting that I've played through the game at least twice. I've seen it played through via Let's Plays numerous times. I've never seen anyone approach this problem that way, and that's really cool. She gives you the key, and the idea with the key is you open the door Josh just opened, and instead Josh went up the roof, and that's kind of a creative solution.
I actually just poison darted them.
And now I'm giving it to you.
In their
me
faces.
too.
That's the same thing that I did.
It's upstairs.
The problem is poison darts are, at least at this point in the game, an expensive luxury, and you don't want to waste it on playing non-lethal.
Our parties were even grander.
You know what? I
I
wanted to. Oh, I spent so much time save scumming there because I wanted to choke them out for the reason Chris just said, because poison darts are really hard to come by. So I wanted to choke them out, and I couldn't do it, and I finally gave up and poison darted.
She said for me to go somewhere and get something.
There's a bone charm upstairs, and then you can go into that basement area with her and get another one.
Okay, yeah. So
room.
she has a quest here. This is really interesting. She has another quest here for me to go and like poison some dude.
I can't bear these bottles
But,
children. Ruffians, every last one of them, rotten.
And when you finish that quest, you come over here and she shows you the rune for you to take. But you can just steal it. It's the best.
Something else for me.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And I'd give you another present.
And she doesn't seem to notice. Like, after you take it,
she doesn't care.
It's gone, yeah.
Do you remember my doctor, dear? Dr. Galvan.
She has more inflection in her voice, but it's still not so much, I'm this creepy lady, and it's more, I'm a kindly old man at the library reading a book story to the children's. And then Peter Rabbit said, I don't like that very much.
See to it, dear. I'll find you another present.
I'm Susan Sarandon for Boniva. God, I ruined that joke with a mispronunciation.
It's okay, I didn't get it anyway.
Those were the days.
You probably would. You're too young. You don't get
This
it.
is all together taking too long.
So precious.
The dialogue does blather on at some point. It's like, okay, I get the idea. Are you still talking? What? Why are you still talking? And it's not like illuminating the character or the setting or giving you anything. It's just like, I'm going to continue being creepy for a few more lines without telling you anything. And I don't know if this conversation is a good example of that, but there were several times in the game where I felt like the dialogue was belaboring the point.
You wouldn't.
And it sure ain't a feast for the ears.
Or even the name of her family, but an emperor begged.
Be careful,
so dark.
And rich young men fought each other.
And it gets better
Now
after this
the outsider
level.
holds a spooky flashlight under his chin and tells stories about Granny Rags.
she made a different choice.
Actually, that's giving him too much credit. He's not telling a spooky story.
The leader of
And then the
great
monster
Okay.
opened the door, and it clawed the two children apart
What
and
will
ate
you
them.
do, I wonder.
And then his hands crossed.
This is the quest reward.
And then he did that gesture.
for finishing that quest that Granny Rags just gave us. And she
I didn't
does
realize
not
that 'cause
care.
I skipped
In
his-
fact, you can. Wait, come back, Granny Rags.
True. Granny has work.
You can kill her or knock her out, and she also doesn't care later.
You can kill her
Yeah,
and she doesn't care later.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
Super
she's-
magic.
Yeah.
She is a rat swarm incarnate, basically.
I guess. They didn't really explain
Okay.
that, but I guess that was okay. I mean, not really,
Okay,
but...
her.
They made it pretty clear she was once a human being who was
Yeah.
previously in another world or on the mainland or whatever you want to call it, was once an important lady.
And now
So
she
we wanna
wants to
poison
cause
these guys?
chaos, and she's a rat swarm?
Well, she got in bed with the outsider, and it basically corrupted her. And there's a whole backstory for this. It's filled in with the heart and various note papers or notes you pick up, and
Which is-
other things.
Which
I
is
guess,
just
but it's-
cheating.
But I guess,
I mean,
but
if
even
there's-
so, I felt like I followed up on a lot of it, and I still don't have a very strong idea of what's going on, and not in like kind of a cool, ambiguous way, more just sort of a, okay, I guess this is happening, whatever. I'm just gonna handle it. Maybe it's subjective, maybe I missed some stuff, I don't know.
I mean,
feel
it's
like
pretty
I
clear
underst-
that she got involved with the outsider. He gave her special powers the way he gave you and Dowd special powers, and then she started becoming a psychotic cannibal because she adopted the ways of chaos and evil, which again feeds into the idea that the outsider is not just chaos, but is probably actually evil.
So, are you going to do the thing where you, like, put plague in the moonshine?
Well, we failed it, but we can go and do it, I guess.
This quest doesn't actually... This quest doesn't actually raise your chaos, does it?
No,
That's
it
what
doesn't.
that's what I wanted to comment on. This is moonshine, and you can put plague in it and give the plague to like what a
It's
few
not-
dozen people, and
it's
it
not
doesn't
moonshine,
spread the
it's-
plague.
It's the...
Oh, it's the cure.
It's the fake
It's the medicine.
elixir cure that they've been selling. Not the fake, but the less effective one. Oh,
This is probably the most evil thing you can do in the game. You are putting poison in the supply
Okay, well.
of the medicine that people take when they
Could've
get
done
the
better.
cure. You are literally poisoning sick people.
Yeah.
In
I got
it's
halfway through
exact-
this quest, and I was like, wait a minute, what am I doing?
Exactly! That's what I did too! I don't know if that was deliberate or what, but I was halfway through the quest when I was like, wait a minute, this is fucked up!
I know, and I was like, "What? Why would I do this? What is it about this quest that because she's gonna give me one rune, and the fact that it doesn't? This your most chaotic. This is the most chaotic thing I could think of to do. Spreads the rat plague, kills a bunch of people, and it doesn't raise chaos. What?
And
Well,
the other
it's
thing...
probably. Go ahead, Russ.
No, you first. You first.
Well, I was going to say that it's probably the most chaotic in terms of number of people impacted, but I mean, other non-chaotic options include putting two people into slavery and selling one woman as a sex slave to another guy, and I question whether any of that is any less evil than poisoning people. It's just the number of people impacted here is higher than any of the number of people impacted in the others.
Right.
Oh.
Right. The body count here is fairly
Shit,
high, and
right.
it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that it doesn't raise chaos.
I think, like, you know, when Josh and I are talking about a lot, like, not really realizing what we were doing, I don't think that was, like, a case of, like, I don't think you can make an argument, like, any kind of high argument that, like, oh, it's showing you that, like, if you don't care about
Jesus.
this, then you can unwittingly wreak horrible things, especially since it's not reinforced with the chaos. Why did you just open the door again, Josh? What?
Yeah.
It's like you put your hand on a stove and you're like, ooh, it's too hot. And you just,
well,
like,
there
whip
was
your hand
stuff
away.
in there.
Then you look at it for a second and then you quietly put your hand back. They're rats, Josh. They smell you.
Isn't there a vent you could teleport up into? I thought there was.
Is there? There might be.
We have to be in that room to find it, but...
I feel like it was just a very vague quest. Like, it was a very bizarre, you know, offhandedly put quest description. And, like, you still don't understand the parameters of this area very well. You don't understand what you're doing very well. It doesn't really, like, fit in.
Right.
Then you better get all your shit together, huh? Everything's fine. I run the
Do we actually care very much about this place? Because this is just a bone... I don't even remember what bone charm this is.
It's just a charm. Who cares? Well, it'd be like if Dorothy lands in Oz and all the Munchkins tell her, follow the yellow brick road, and then as soon as they reach the Scarecrow, the Scarecrow's like, I really need a brain. Let's go kill a guy and get his brain. And you're like, okay, let's do that instead of the yellow brick road.
You know, I'd play that.
Well, it is weird because the game's like, are you high chaos or low chaos? You get to choose, and the game sort of hands you an inherently high chaos thing, and then sort of says, oh, but no, it's not high chaos. This is just a side mission. It's cool. Don't worry about it. Don't think about that too much.
And nobody comments on it.
Don't think about that. Right. Don't think about it. The most evil thing you do with the highest number of kills, and you're just not supposed to think about it too much. And it goes against everything else the game is saying. This is just so goofy. Why?
Well, you do feed into that ambiguity of, again, what is high chaos and what is low chaos, and the game makes really arbitrary distinctions about it. And really, and I said this in my video about it, that the real difference, that as far as I can tell, is how you use your powers. That's all the game cares about. It's the outsider judging you for how you choose to abuse or use your powers. It doesn't matter how many people you hurt on your way, so much as how many people you choose to summon rats and do evil to with magics.
When we talk about the whole idea of chaos being very vague, that's the kind of thing we mean. This game doesn't really understand what it's saying about that sort of thing, or if it's saying anything, or even if, like, in-game anything is being said. It's all over the place.
Being chaotic is bad, except when it's not bad, except when old ladies tell you to do it, then it's maybe good, but then you still shouldn't do things that are bad. And everyone just sort of nods in acceptance.
Come on, let's get this guy.
I hate the bone charm. I hate the bone charm on the ceiling of this.
Get up for the hang.
Those fire breathers kind of tickle me.
They really piss me off. It's like all the particle effects. Oh my goodness, so annoying. I can't see.
Alright, where the
It's kind of funny that he just coughed out his fire
How did I get up?
when you stab him in the back.
Oh, right, you gotta climb.
It's like a spit take.
Well, I mean, that's literally what they're doing, is they're spitting fire at you.
Well, I know, but he does this a spit take as well. So.
This game is really dark. I'm glad we adjusted our gamma.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we did that when the game started.
Help me look.
You'll notice that even at this point, like, your hiding isn't based so much on shadows as whether they can, like, line of sight, height, obstacles.
Where's the damn...
I don't like it because it really is sort of counter to the sort of thief mentality, but at the same time, it works in this game, which has a much higher action focus.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't think there's anything inherently evil about it. I mean, I was actually disappointed when they had light and darkness mechanics to Hitman.
Yeah.
I'm all for stealth systems based not around shadow, but you know, I'm not sure it really worked with this game because it made stealth even less rewarding.
Really what it did was turn stealth from... Stealth and Thief is sort of a game of, like, you know when you're 5 or 29 and you're playing a game where the floor is lava, don't go on the floor?
Yes.
That's sort of what Thief is, where, you know, the light is evil and you avoid the light is lava. This game is less about light and more about space and being able to find nooks and crannies and alternate paths and vents and pipes to walk on and small areas to sort of cram yourself into.
Which is really cool, especially with Blink. It's really fun to kind of find your way around the levels through vents or whatever. When there are those routes, there are some levels that just don't have them, and that gets really annoying.
But most of them do, and
guard routes.
But most of them have at least some alternative paths, and it is fun with Blink and with the generous hopping up on ledges and that sort of thing, and the amount of space you take up when you crouch is very small, so you can cram into most small areas. It's actually pretty generous about how you can traverse the space, and I think that's how it differs from Thief, where Thief is very much light versus dark. This is more, how do you move through a space to avoid being seen, rather than how do you stay out of the light to avoid being seen.
Here's another part where, like, the skull mask is goofy. Like, when we're about to have this conversation with this guy we saved, imagine, from his perspective, like, the whole time he's having this conversation, he's looking at some dude in, like, a horrifying skull robot mask. Alright, you ready?
What? I'll return the favor. Come by Griff's shop. That's my business. Well,
and he's so happy that we broke in
just
after killing those guys with our sword.
The mask.
There as the city dies. If you need anything, I wouldn't mind trading from you.
Yeah, this game, there's a lot of interesting stuff in it, but it's really hard to get over the...
It's scavenging for me.
Like, the way the world is built, and then, like, nobody bothers to tell you anything about it. The way it feels like you missed some exposition about all these characters you're supposed to know about, and that Corvo does know about, but the player has no idea what's going on. But there is some interesting environmental storytelling, which I'm sure you guys have been just waiting for me to talk more about.
No, I dig it.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a mother who's, what was it, her husband and her children contracted the plague, and she hid it from the people coming around, and eventually they all died, which is really
actually
morbid. And
I'll say this: the environmental storytelling is miles and miles better than the actual narrative in the game. They actually do a good job of sort of setting up something that you would care about, something that is interesting and striking and emotionally resonant, and usually it's not told through the voice acting logs. It's usually told through the text, and that tends to work better. The one I'm thinking of is and we'll probably run into this in a couple weeks, the soldier who was supposed to ship out, and he was sick, and he caught the virus, but then he found this rune from the outsider and obsessed over it, sort of like Gollum in the Ring, and sort of just stayed there and missed his boat and basically died of starvation obsessing over this whale rune. That's kind of cool. That's interesting.
It also makes you really seriously question how deep you're getting into this whole outsider thing.
Yeah, it would be great if more of that made it into the game. If the whole time you were using these outsider powers, you were worried about what it was doing to you. If there was this doubt, like other people were like, you don't seem like yourself, or oh, you're behaving very strangely, Corvo, or
look at some of the things
if there was
I found.
something
But don't you
that indicated
see,
you...
Like, but like that's sorry, I'm interrupting you a little bit, but I was kind of like going through the same thought process in my head. Like, you know, I guess the one indication of that is if your chaos is raised by using all the cool outsider powers. So that's the actual seduction of the outsider for you, is that he gives you cool superpowers, and if you use them, you're evil and chaotic, and if you don't use them, but instead, like, don't use all the magic powers that the game gives you in all the cool, like, murderous ways, then you're a good person, I guess.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe.
Wasn't there a side quest to go into this place? Who gives it to you?
You come back here. You come back here on the second level for the cat's cradle.
Oh, that's
or
right.
whatever.
It's during the day.
You don't come back to the Sokolov's place until Cat's Cradle. In the meantime, I think you can go across the street. Otherwise, we need to go straight through that corridor and into the death trap of soldiers.
You know what? Let's do this differently.
I can already tell that I'm gonna have to completely crawl in mine. There's no shadow stealth in this game. It really does feel like it's more based on like positioning than by actual light and darkness. And the game actually tells you itself in loading screens that like it doesn't actually mean that much unless the enemy's far away from you. But I admit it doesn't really look that way when you're watching the